All right, everybody, how are you? We are the user's guide for the fourth and fifth dimension. I think Chris casually used the word survivor's guide, and we might switch that over. But so it is August 28th. I'm Rebecca Roseberry. I am a medical intuitive, nutritionist, healer, energy teacher, blah, blah, blah. And I'm interviewing Chris Gordon, who is channeling higher dimensional information through her to help us all keep our sanity and stay in our body and survive what is happening out in the ethers in the universe. So Chris, if you want to share a couple of things before we get started,
Um,
introduce yourself.
I'm Chris Gordon, and I am an energy translator. Whether that's seeing auras, whether that is channeling the divine realm, I just translate energy and information. The past couple of weeks have been sort of challenging for a lot of individuals, not everybody, obviously, but there's been some energy challenges, whether it's technology, whether it's excuse me, it's telling me I have to do that. Whether it's technology, whether it is how they feel. I've heard everything from my clients, from my hips lock when I stand up and I don't have hip issues, to I'm crying, I'm feeling grief, but there's no direct reason why I should be in a grief state. So it is a cornucopia of things, emotions, physical, some mental, some emotional. And when I say mental, it's the mindset, our thought processes. And so we were discussing that's probably something that we need to address, at least for part of our discussion today, because this is normal. We're not alone. And I honestly do believe the old adage of that, they used to say in 3D, misery loves company. We can bring that saying into the fourth dimension, and simply knowing we're not alone in whatever we're experiencing. It may not be exactly the same, but it's all being caused by the same thing. So space is doing a lot of interesting things right now. And you can probably speak to this much better than I can, but we've had geometric storms, class 1s and class 2s. They're the lighter of the storms, and basically what that means is there's trashy air spinning around out in space, and we're affected by that. It has, it's not radioactive, it's going to kill us energy, but it does affect us. And we've had massive solar flares. We actually had an astrologer friend of mine sent me some information the other day in the middle of the night and said there was a massive solar flare in the middle of our nighttime. I live on the East Coast, in the middle of our nighttime. But it was affecting the earth. So, we think in our logical brain, just kind of thinking about it real quickly, you would think, well, if the sun's not out and it has a flare, it's going somewhere else. Well, that's not exactly how it works. And so that big flare in the middle of the night had a huge impact the next couple of days, and hence the grief or the physical, wherever our 3D energy is embedded the most, or where we are stuck the most. That's the thing that it's going to bring our attention to. So if my 3D-ness is more physical, I'm going to lean toward feeling it physically. If it's emotional, I'm going to feel overwhelming grief, or and it doesn't always have to be bad. That's the thing. We're talking about the stuff that we consider the word bad. Actually it's just non-positive, but 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 negative. And we talk about that in these chapters, not because everything is bad. For everything on this side, there's two just like it over here. So it's so much better over here. But we're talking about this because it is the user's guide. It is the things that we're feeling. So we are addressing the things that are on the more negative side of things. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a positive over here. That's what the user's guide is to help us get to that positive, to let go of the physical here and maybe have a happy physical over here. But we have to release that three-dimensional stuff to make room for this fourth dimensional stuff to come in.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we as professionals don't address that enough. I know I'm guilty of it, of the positive part of it. This is all about getting to the positive, about leaving the things, whether it's our health, our education system, religion, politics. It doesn't matter what the person, place, or thing the topic is. Whatever is keeping us in that 3D space, that's the thing that we need to work on releasing, or relinquishing is the word that the universe uses. And it is to make room. It's not a punishment. It's to make, we need to make room. There's only so much room in here. And we need to, whether it's our mind, body, or spirit, we need to make room for these new changes. And as we do, every time we change after that, it gets easier than the time before, until it's almost like ice skating or roller skating or surfing, or anything that you sort of glide and have that flow of movement. And that's when it simply becomes easy. So this is not about doom and gloom. And it probably sounds like that the first 2 or 3 episodes or chapters. But it has nothing to do with doom and gloom. It has to do with acknowledging those things that are giving us difficulty or in our way, or how, I'll let you decide how to fill that blank in, so that we can focus. But we can talk about what we need to do all day long in the positive side, but none of that's going to actually come to fruition until we release these negative things that are holding us in this 3-dimensional space. So I have a plethora of things once we get there that we can do that are happy and fun and creative and all of those things. But no matter how many times we share those things and we offer those things, what happens is because we're human and we've lived in this energy for so long, that what happens is I try this fun thing over here or this positive thing over here, but it doesn't really work out like I think it's supposed to, or like it should, or like I've been told it's going to, because I'm holding on to this 3-dimensional thing over here. And so I give up really quickly and I go right back to where I was, because this is comfortable. I know it. I understand it. It may not make me happy, but I know it. And so it's comfortable. So I go there. And so it really is the only first step, unfortunately, is about the things we need to release, walk away from, change our point of view, our perspective. And these are all really deep, deep, deep belief systems. And it doesn't matter what the subject matter is, it's whatever is holding us back. And if that's if that's my grandmother's recipe has to be served at Thanksgiving because it's always been served. She got it from her grandmother and she got it from her grandmother. But Thanksgiving isn't fun anymore. Then the first thing we would try changing would be the simple thing of, okay, well, let's take these traditions and change them up a little bit. Maybe it's the tradition. And I know that's a really vague and kind of broad analogy, but it really can be that simple. And it doesn't have to be difficult. We make it difficult because we expect it to be difficult. And we expect it to be difficult because we honestly believe we cannot live. Life won't work properly if we stop doing this thing that we've always done, or we've always done, our family's always done, our friends have always done, the town we came from, whatever. But that really is the first step of doing. The releasing of those things is the doing. And that sounds, but we can go back to when we were children, if we don't have children, or if we have children. This whole thing is parental, if you want to look at it that way. It's not asking us to do anything that they know we can, because we do these things in our day-to-day on small scale. We release stuff all the time. If I'm doing something and I fall head over heels in love with somebody and they say, oh, well, I don't want you doing that anymore. It's gone. Just don't do it anymore. It was, or if I go to a doctor and the doctor says, oh, we found this and this and this, you have to stop smoking, put the cigarettes down, we do those things all the time. This seems to be so much grander and so much bigger that it has caused some sort of very real, very honest fear to come up inside of us that says, oh, I can't do that, or I don't want to do that. And that doesn't have anything to do with where we're going. It's going to happen anyway. This user's guide is to help us get there easier. And hopefully in a more collective consciousness way, without the resistance that we're putting out there right now.
I have a ton of stuff that I've been wanting to interject. Are we ready? I'm going to interpret some of that. What you just said, I was taking notes and I want to kind of like regurgitate it back and say it in a slightly different way just to reinforce it. And then I want to interject back. So the universe at large is shifting and changing, and we are naturally doing that internally as well. How well we do that dance with the universe depends on our ability to allow and to trust that process. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That could be a bullet point. What I was hearing was when you were talking about the solar flares kicking up stuff that we're in resistance to or unconscious of or need to let go of. I'm more interested. It's so funny. My left eye keeps twitching and I'm like, ooh. I am more interested. And here's the thing, like me as an Aries, and the oldest of three daughters, I have this authoritative, I'm doing it, like the Aries is the I am, right?
Oh,
That's
I
what
have a daughter who's an Aries. Yes, ma'am.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're the pioneers and the visionaries, and we do it alone. We do it afraid, but we do it alone because we're supposed to learn our power that way and teach other people how we're doing this, so and lead. And that's how we lead, right?
Right.
So I want to add to that. We were talking about how we were talking earlier about why is it that someone doesn't listen to you about something, but will listen to a doctor? And that's because of their definition of authority. So their definition of authority is cockeyed, that the universe at large is the ultimate authority, and that we need to surrender to that, and that in and of itself creates our own inner authority. With that is our surrendering, and that allows us to be in our power. When we just give up and just say, I trust you, that's when we're in our power, and that's when we are the ultimate authority, right?
Yes.
Okay. um what the so again, using the solar flare as an example, that's kicking up stuff that now, and I mentioned the Aries thing, and I mentioned all this because I like to teach people to be their own authority, but also to be autonomous. And by the way, I'm teaching a class on that. It's called the self-care series. But the solar flare is would be symbolic of, or the universe is also symbolic of, the unconscious mind, or the unconscious part of us that's coming up to be healed and be brought to the light.
Yes.
Now, I would recommend for everyone listening, and you tell me if I'm wrong, that we should be deliberately meditating and deliberately journaling and deliberately doing these self-care things so as not to have a fated situation where a solar flare has to like push it out of us. Does that make sense? Okay.
You're exactly right. It's why I get up between 4:30 and 5 o'clock every morning, and I don't start my day until 9:30, 10 o'clock, is because I'm doing all those things
Yes.
that you just mentioned.
And you're doing it preemptively, and you're doing it proactively. And that's how you're an authority. You're taking charge of the shit that we have to purge individually so that we could be clear and in our power, versus the victim mindset of a solar flare or the earth shifting. Like all these earth changes are going to happen regardless, almost like the wave of an ocean. And so, but we, I guess the leaders in New Age, or whatever you want to call it, we're taking charge and not waiting for the unconscious to bite us in the butt, but rather to do it deliberately from our own free will, because that's wisdom.
Right. And it's not easy. And nobody is,
Oh,
that I know of, is trying to say that it's easy. Somebody asked me that the other day. Well, why do y'all think it's so easy? It's not as hard. And I was like, none of us think it's easy. It gets easier.
right.
But that's was true in the third dimension. Things would be difficult, and people would say, "Oh, it gets easier." Whatever it was, the more you do it, and that's, I think that's all part of the human anatomy. Whether it's the mind, the spirit, or the actual body, is that we are built to learn through repetition.
Yeah.
And for the most part, and so we get to, the more we practice, and I do understand that being able to see auras, being able to channel, does give me a different perspective. Some people say it's easier. I'm not sure that I would say that's actually true, but it makes it different. And I understand that not everybody You know, I think we talked about this one other time. If you ask my brother, he would say, I'm deformed because I have 5 rods or 6 or whatever it is in each eye, that I have more rods in my eyes than the average person. So it depends. But if you ask one of my friends, I would say, oh my God, that's the coolest thing. So it depends on who you are as to the perspective of that. And that's how this whole thing is we take it, and it is about how we incorporate it into our situation, where we are in that particular time. I love the fact, the word you used about it, it's like the waves coming in. It is like the waves. The waves come in, the waves go out. And that is exactly what fourth and fifth dimension energy is compared to third dimension. Third dimension is very dense, very tight, very solid, very heavy. Fourth and fifth dimension is very, the fourth and then fifth even more so, light. There's room. I don't think it would record well, or I would get up here. A friend of mine made me an actual 3-dimensional model of the fourth dimension, and she took pencils and just wove them together. But if you can see my fingers, there's holes. You can see there's room. It breathes. It flows. Fifth, fourth, and fifth, especially fifth. It breathes. It's fluid. It moves in and out, and it's like a dance. And it's so easy once we get there. It's that the next step, you'll have hard times. I'm not saying everything's going to be utopia or perfect, but what happens is, when my most difficult times, I know the minute I go, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this, I go, oh, back up a minute. This means you're almost ready to go to the next level of frequency. So I know I've reached that last step. Mm-hmm. That takes away the, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to pay this? Or how am I going to fix this? Or whatever the thing that's giving us anxiety is. How am I going to get through this? But when we step back and go, oh, this is I'll be in another frequency once I accomplish this. Your perception changes, and all of a sudden answers come. You've solved it. You're done. It's over. And you're in another frequency, and none of those things are attached to you. And most of the time you can't even remember what it was that, when somebody says, oh, how are you doing? Did so-and-so get taken care of? What? Oh, and you really have to stop and think to have a recall of whatever it was that had you so anxious just days before. Mm-hmm. And the payoff, if you want, is, for a little bit, life just sings. It is that ebb and flow, and it's like, oh, this is really cool, until you start to get ready to go to the next frequency, and then that's when those anxieties come back.
I just want to speak to I channeled this earlier before we got on, and it's at this moment that it applies, which is back like 20 years ago. I was a big fan of Joyce Meyer. She's a pastor or preacher, and she would say a saying that I wanted to bring up today, and you just said it, which is new level, new devil.
Yes. I used to watch Joyce myself.
I love her.
I love Joyce. So yes, that's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
So this is all about going to that happier place. And as we go, so there are two numbers that I guess I want to throw out here. The first one is for every approximately for every 1,000 years that we think something's taken 1,000 years, it's a day in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So when they said we're going to place you in this 3D energy and see how y'all do, and we'll be back in a few days, they really did. They've come back. It's their 3 days. You know, for them, we've just been here for a little bit. For us, it's been forever.
Yeah.
And so that's the one thing is while you're doing this, if we keep in mind that we're moving really quickly in our world with energy shifts and things. Imagine how quickly it's all going in their world.
Oh, that's fun to play with.
It's like,
Okay. So it's
so
speeding up their that as well. Okay.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, and I may not have so there are different opinions on the exact numbers, but I'm a number 7 girl, so I'm using this one because it is one of the numbers. But theory is, for everything I achieve as far as releasing and being freeing up space, 7 people will also have the opportunity to free up space. And that's no matter who we are. It's not me personally. For every human that frees up space and moves further into the 4th dimension to get into the 5th dimension, that freeing up of their own energy and that 4th dimensional energy replacing that 3D energy, 7 people in their world will follow them.
So how is that? How is that? Can you explain the 7 and the attachment? Like, why is it 7?
So there are different theories. There are different numbers. It depends. I choose 7 because I'm a 7 number. Lots of things in my world are attached to 7 and multiples of 7.
Okay.
My astrology sign is 777
Yeah.
in the world of astrology. So when that was one of the choices, I just chose that. I think the real story behind that, or the real point behind that, is that all we have to do is shift our own perception and release our own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's, again, it can be whether it's religion, whether it's politics, whatever we are focused on in the 3D world, when we have when we create the ability to walk away from it 180 degrees. 360 would be going right back to the same place. We're not doing that. We're changing 180 degrees. So when we walk away from that, simple energy, simple physics, people will follow. And it's multiples of people. So some theories have it in the teens or in the double digits. Some have it in, hundreds. I just picked 7 because it's easy to work with, and I like the number 7, and it seems to be in a lot of things in my world. So all we have to do is change ourselves, and others will follow. So when we're worried about, well, if we don't push back on this subject over here, well, when I push back, I feed it. I give it food so it continues to grow and live. Mm-hmm. If I really don't want that to be a part of my world, then I need to back up and walk away. And I know that's hard. I'm not here. I know when I say it, it sounds like I think it's easy. I know it's not easy. But as we walk away, others will follow. And what happens, think about it. It keeps going. So these 7 people have 7 more people, or whatever number you want to give it. So these 7 people, they each have 7 people. And then those people will have their own 7. And so it just starts to spread. Mm-hmm. If you can spread panic that way, you can spread freedom and peace that way.
And I like to think about the word infection. You can have a positive infection or a negative infection.
Yes,
Yeah.
very
I
true.
like that word because of that spreading. Yes.
Yeah. So you can use it either way. We use it for panic and fear and that kind of thing all the time, but we can flip it around and we can use it, like you said, and become infectious and move into the fourth dimension. And it's just going to follow. And we don't have to worry about the hows.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter how Medicaid gets fixed, because whatever we create in here is nowhere near as wonderful as what they are going to deliver and give to us as a gift. So if I'm worried about Medicaid, if I'm worried about my car insurance, if I'm worried about the fact that my flood insurance on my house tripled this year or whatever, if that's what I'm worried about and I worry and I put that worry out there, that's what I'm going to get back.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I have a disdain for people who worry. I know that um I know it's not the healthiest perspective, but I really like to bring awareness to when people are worrying because it's very habitual and unconscious, and it can be an addiction. And I prefer to insert the word concern whenever I can and bring awareness to the word, okay, I'm concerned about this.
Yes.
And so you're right, because you're feeding what you don't want when you're worrying. So you were talking about, let's just use Medicaid for a sec. So what is the best approach, or what's the best plan of action individually on that topic? Like what do you recommend or to as a prescription for a shift?
That's a great question. I love that question. Thank you. So I I think if I try to explain it, the words are going to be empty. So I will explain it with an analogy, and then you take it from there, breaking it down and tearing it apart. Okay.
Yeah.
So, not getting into any specific details, there was a period of time where I literally lost 82 point something of my income. And it hasn't been that long ago, just a few years ago, on a permanent basis. And I will tell you, there is not a whole lot more fearful than knowing you are responsible for all the things you have, that you're responsible for or have always been responsible for. Now you have more responsibility and you have lost the way to pay for that. So I started this, like, open the bill, see the door prize, and decide, who gets what. It was kind of like my own version of throwing it up in the air, and whatever landed on the table, that's what you got. And so I had this medical bill, and it was pretty big, and I had a payment due, and I looked at it, got the bill, and looked at it and went, yeah, well, and I put it on this stack of bills that was sitting on the table. And it was the only one that was due right then. The rest of them I had some time, but that one was due right then. And I just went, don't know. I just don't know. So I just put there and I walked away, physically and emotionally. I said, I can't. And luckily I was working that day. So my clients were the thing that kept my mind from being there. But I walked away from it, went down to the mailbox. So I got that on, I'll say Tuesday. This is Wednesday. I go down to the mailbox. I had a refund from something I paid that the insurance company was going to pay. And they refunded me and sent me a check. The check was for all but $1 of what this other bill was.
Yeah.
If I had held that bill, if I had worried, if I had been calling people, if I had a break. Now, I'm not going to say when I looked at it, I didn't go, I'm human.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
we are allowed to have those moments. It's how long we live in those moments.
Yeah.
That are what create our ability to move forward or keep us where we are. And so I got a dollar bill out of my wallet, and I got my little self to the bank, and I put that money in, and I came home and I wrote a check and I got it in the mail, and the bill was paid. And
Oof.
every single time something like that happened, if I gave it my worried attention, it became an issue.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everything fell from the sky like that check. Okay, I had to. A lot of it was work. Some of it was gifts. Some of it was, I don't know. It came from lots of different places.
Right.
But everything was taken care of.
Yeah.
I haven't always been in the space, so I know the other side of this. Doesn't mean anything other than everything I need is provided. The thing that would hold me back is if I said, well, I want more. Yes, I can have more. I deserve more. I am like everybody else. We can all have. There's enough for everybody to have as much as we want.
Yeah.
But if that's my stipulation, if I could just have $1 million so I could pay all this stuff off and or whatever. It doesn't have to be about money. I just picked that one because that was the thing. But the stipulation of it has to be done my way, the only way I can visualize it. Well, I had no idea that I had paid something I wasn't supposed to. I don't remember it, couldn't even find a record of it.
Yeah.
But the check was tangible. It was in my hand, and it went in my account, and it was cashed and paid the bill. So, yeah. But I had to trust. And I don't know where the trust came from. I didn't go looking for it. I just called it. Okay. It's doesn't mean I get to sit on my laurels and say that for every single thing that happens in my life that needs to be rectified. It simply means that if I trust, they will lead me to what I need, whether it's the check coming in the mail or me going out and finding 15 people that want to become certified in Reiki energy healing, which isn't really Reiki anymore for what the certification is, but people understand what Reiki is, so I'm using that word. But it's quantum energy healing, but it's like Reiki. So it always comes. It's in different forms, but I'm always led.
So I just want to speak to the more analytical side of things, because I'm me in my head. That's another Aries thing. So we are all, I would say, I would say a good portion of the viewers are going to be adults that are struggling with this and that. And I just want to preface with, after, counseling people so much, is that we all are susceptible to confusing universe and God with a filter of how we were treated from either of our parents or both. And that's been detrimental, and that we have to keep surrendering our belief system about what that higher power is, so that we can stay in flow and trust and allow to have an experience like you had.
Right.
You know what I mean? To really just surrender it. And I know you want to speak to the word relinquish. I don't know how different the word relinquish is to the word surrender, but it's just really saying, okay, I'm a part of the universe. The universe is, I don't know, this massive, how do you even quantify it?
Yeah.
And that the worst thing we could do is to hold on to fear and not trusting, and I want to use the word like that authority or that parents, that, you know, that higher knowing, that's got it all figured out already. Like we're just little peon, we're just little tiny.
Yes. So one of my favorite quotes is, and I'm actually paraphrasing, but I am but a drop of water in the ocean. I am the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I that is something. Anytime I say I am, I don't look at I am as being a mantra or setting an intention, because intentions, well, that's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
Setting
Yeah.
intention. So so I don't look at I am that way. I am is that that's it. I am.
Yeah.
There's I think, so I am. I mean, there's all kinds of I ams that say this is it. This is the energy. This is the I am.
Yeah.
And so I do say those a lot when I'm working through something or I'm trying to grid something out, um, that I feel like is keeping me from moving, or and I've had this one thing that I've been working on for 6 months or more, that I just had breakfast with a friend today, and we talked about that, because she knows I've been trying to work through this to get beyond the hold it has on me, for a long time. But it runs really deep, and the deeper something runs, and you use the perfect word. We're not conscious of this. This is a very unconscious thing.
Mhm.
The conscious things that we know we're holding on to, they're pretty easy. They can see, yeah, oh, we don't have to do that anymore. It's those unconscious things
Yeah.
that how are we supposed to know how to let go of it if we don't even know we have it?
Right. Right.
But what happens is the more I work on releasing it, or finding a new way to perceive it that isn't they did, I did, we said, they said, um, and step back. So there is this beautiful visual thing.
Mm-hmm.
3D is very focused. It's like putting blinders on a horse. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I see. It's all I see. This is it. The further out in dimensions that we go is kind of like stepping back. So if I'm here looking through a viewfinder, and that's 3 dimension, and then I step away from the viewfinder, and oh, I can see this much. And then I step away a little more, and I can see even above the viewfinder now, and now I can see this much. It's almost like the more you step back and look at something honestly, with no judgment, and look at it and start releasing judgment, it's like you get this panoramic view.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get the panoramic view, you don't need to ask any questions, because you have nothing but answers in front of you.
Well said. Yep. Yep.
And I will do that. I will do that as a meditation sometimes, if I'm really stressed out over something. um you know it's like, okay, close your eyes, see it in the viewfinder, and now
Mm-hmm.
step back. And I just keep stepping back, and I may think, you know it it may take me 15 minutes of just stepping back, but all of a sudden all these answers flood in, and I open my eyes, and it's like, oh my gosh, really? That's what kept me from going to the next level? Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the next thing I know is I'm in the next level, and somebody will even ask me, so how are you doing on working on your issue? And it's like, I'm
What
sorry,
issue?
what? Yeah, it's like it's wiped, just cleared. It's the best mind clearing.
Mhm.
And stress just literally leaves.
Yeah, I want to stress this point too. I learned that a long time ago in the Avatar course, and it was just that, to expand and pay attention to the periphery. And there's all sorts of exercises if anyone's interested in the Avatar course. There's a literal, like, step 1, step 2. I'm going to teach my son all of these steps. And that's one of them, is to, get, like, step back. Step back. It's good stuff. Because
Yeah.
in our narrowness, that's like, like you said, we're describing the ego and this narrow viewpoint. And it's like, you're in the ocean. Come on. It's not just all about you, right?
Right.
So when we step back, we can see more of a bird's eye view of all the interconnectedness, and recognizes a lot of moving parts that are influencing what's going on here. And there's a higher order and a bigger picture behind it.
Right.
Yeah. Um, and it's that narrowing that causes us to suffer. It's like, me and my story, and this happened to me, and, yeah.
Yes.
So we're at the hour mark ish. So we could pause at this point if you want, or I mean, I feel like we can talk for like 3 or 4 hours, honestly, but it's not, I don't recommend it.
No, I don't either. Yeah. Breathe. I think that's the word that they just keep showering me with right now, is they want me to share with everyone. Breathe. Start breathing. That close your eyes, take the breath in, hold it for a second or two, and blow it out. And then do it again and blow it out slowly. And maybe next time we'll talk about those words, because the words that, if you were to look up, you said it, now I can't think of it. If we were to look up the word surrender, sacrifice, relinquish, and trust, those words from the universe, their definition is slightly different. They don't mean what Webster or Oxford or any other dictionary is going to say. They have a similar but different meaning, and maybe we'll talk about that next time, or the next time, whatever, however it falls into place, of what those words actually mean when you hear someone on Zoom or on YouTube or whatever talking about surrender, because those words were chosen because they do get a reaction out of us. We listen. Our attention goes to that word, not because we like them, but it doesn't have anything to do with like or dislike. It has to do with getting our attention. So those were words that you brought up that are great words, and they do fit into this. They are part of the formula.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you
Awesome.
breathe. Just
So, yeah, what we can do is have it in the book of maybe like the Webster's definition, and then the Master's definition, and
yes. And again, they're similar, but they're not as harsh.
Right.
As Webster would have those words being very harsh, and for the universe, those words are not harsh words. They're serious, but they're not harsh. The edges have been taken off of them, and from a universal standpoint.
And just to add detail to the need to breathe, just like water in the ocean, we're taking in the ether, we're taking in spirit, and we're teaching our body that we're safe in this moment, and that breathing in and out reaffirms that, versus if we're holding on and not taking a deep breath, we don't trust and we don't feel safe, right?
Exactly.
It's like, let's just, okay, I'm one with all that is, and breathe.
Exactly. This has been fun. I hope. Maybe not. I don't know, but I've had fun.
I did have fun. I enjoyed this a lot, and I'm looking at this. And by the way, for those of you who are watching, this is not what we were going to talk about today.
Not at all. We had one thing in mind, and the masters just threw it
Said
away.
no. Said no, no. So
No, no.
I sit there and planned it all out. No, 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 no.
Oh, I showed you. I have a stack of papers that thick that I was going to pull from and talk about. And yeah. No,
So we're going with the flow.
going with the flow. We are fluid. If we are nothing else, we are fluid.
All right, so I'm going to stop here. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you, guys.
And it's, obviously clear and self-evident that we don't know what we're going to say for next time. So stay tuned.
Just for that one reason alone, it's worth tuning in just to see what we're coming up with next.
I always have, when I start something like this, I'm like, gee, I wonder what's going to come out of my mouth today. Oh boy, I'm excited. All right,
There.
so thank you. And this is chapter 5, and we will see you, I don't know, in a few weeks or something for chapter 6. Stay tuned.